when you thought things could not get any worse, Napheesa Collier officially canceled the meeting with WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelberg.
So, okay, this just got wild, folks. Napheesa Collier has officially canceled her crucial meeting with WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelberg. And trust me, this isn't just a minor blip. This could completely blow up the entire 2026 season. Fans are already calling this the absolute point of no return. We're talking about the league's biggest star, a major union leader, just telling the commissioner no thanks. So, big question for you right off the bat. Do you honestly think the WNBA can survive a disaster like this? Let's dive deep into this mess, because honestly, this might be the most chaotic week the WNBA has seen in years. Napheesa Collier, who was MVP runner-up, an Olympian, and a key union leader, just pulled the plug on her planned meeting with Commissioner Cathy Engelberg. This meeting was supposed to be the big moment, the chance for both sides to finally chill out after weeks of intense fighting and drama. Instead, it's gone. Done. Over. And the reason behind it, pretty simple, but absolutely brutal. Cathy Engelberg actually went on stage right before Game 1 of the WNBA Finals and live on TV basically called Collier a liar.
Cathy Engelberg's meeting with Napheesa Collier has been canceled. Fee is pissed, livid about the rhetoric that Cathy Engelberg spewed on that podium before Game 1 of the WNBA Finals. It is looking like
Now, that press conference was supposedly all about basketball, but nope, Engelberg decided to completely hijack it and address what she dramatically called false reports. She flat out claimed she never made the comments Collier accused her of, especially that now infamous line about how Caitlin Clark should just be grateful for making money off the court, and boom. That was the exact moment everything completely fell apart, because for Napheesa Collier, that wasn't just some casual denial, that was a direct public insult right to her face. You have to remember what Collier had actually said a week earlier. She bravely stood up and publicly exposed how terribly the league is run, how shockingly bad the officiating has become, and how players are being disrespected at literally every single level. This wasn't just her venting, she was laying out cold, hard facts that almost every single player has been complaining about for months now.
That is negligence. At Unrivaled this past February, I sat across from Cathy and asked how she planned to address the officiating issues in our league.
Then she dropped the bombshell. She shared details of her private conversation with Engelberg, where the commissioner allegedly told her that only losers complain about refs, and that, yeah, Caitlin Clark should absolutely be grateful for the massive platform the WNBA gives her.
Take a moment to address some important conversations happening across the WNBA, including remarks made earlier this week by Napheesa Collier. First, let me repeat this. You saw it in my statement, but I have the utmost respect for Napheesa and for every single player in our league. They are at the center of everything we do. I was disheartened to hear that some players feel the league, and me personally, do not care about them or listen to them. And if the players in the W don't feel appreciated and valued by the league, then we have to do better and I have to do better. We know how great these players are on and off the court, how much they mean to our league, our fans, and our communities. If they don't feel that, I will do everything I can to change that. No one should ever doubt how deeply I care about this league, this game, and every single player who makes the WNBA what it is.
So, when Engelberg came back on camera and denied everything in front of a room full of reporters, it was like she looked every player right in the eye and said, "You're all making this up." And let's be real, that is not how you fix a league that's already barely holding itself together by a thread. This wasn't just Napheesa Collier getting personally offended either. Get this, literally every player in the league backed her up. Sophie Cunningham spoke out, Breanna Stewart was liking posts supporting her, and even Caitlin Clark, who usually avoids drama like the plague, publicly stated, Fee made a lot of valid points. So when Engelberg denied it all, that wasn't just a simple PR move, that was absolute career suicide. Now Collier is completely done talking. She officially canceled their meeting that was supposed to happen this week, and sources are telling ESPN that the relationship between the two is beyond repair. That phrase alone should absolutely terrify the entire league, because Collier isn't just some random player, she's the vice president of the WNBA Players Association. What that means is because if she's done with Engelbert, the entire union is done with Engelbert.
Like, we may not have a 2027 a 2026 WNBA season.
Okay, so here's where it gets really serious. No trust means no talks. No talks mean no new collective bargaining agreement. And no CBA deal means, quite literally, no 2026 season. That's the terrifying reality we're facing right now. And it's honestly wild how fast this whole situation escalated. Just 2 weeks ago, this league was celebrating its highest TV ratings ever. Caitlin Clark was the undeniable face of the future. Sponsors were lining up and everyone was screaming, "This is the WNBA's moment." Now look where we are. One bad press conference, one angry player, and the entire thing might just collapse before the 2026 season even starts. It's almost impressive how quickly the WNBA manages to shoot itself in the foot. But let's be super real here. Collier had every single reason to be furious. She put her entire career on the line by speaking out against the commissioner, which is something players almost never do, and instead of respecting that or meeting her halfway, Engelbert went into full-blown defense mode, acting like a corporate CEO trying to protect her stock price. Lots of inaccuracies out there, she said. You know, social media reporting, right? Because every time a player complains, it's just social media noise. That's the exact same tone she used last year when players were complaining about charter flights and schedule fatigue, and she gave the same tired line, "We're looking into it." Translation, we don't care right now. And that's the core of the problem. Engelbert runs the WNBA like a business report, not a dynamic sports league. Every single answer sounds like it's straight out of a dull PowerPoint presentation, while players are literally getting fined for saying the refs are bad and are practically begging for basic human respect. So when Napheesa finally spoke out, she was essentially saying what everyone else was too afraid to utter. And that's precisely why canceling this meeting is such a monumental deal, because it shows she's completely done playing the PR game. She's telling the league, "We are not doing this behind closed doors anymore. You lied about me publicly, so we are done." That isn't just anger, folks. That's pure strategy, because think about what's coming next. The collective bargaining agreement is about to expire, and that's the deal that sets salaries, benefits, and the revenue split. With the deadline looming at the end of this month, the players and owners are supposed to be negotiating right now, and their lead negotiator just canceled her meeting with the commissioner. That's like calling off peace talks 5 minutes before a full-blown war. And it gets even worse, because if the players don't sign a new deal by that deadline, the league automatically goes into lockout status. That means nobody gets paid, nobody can train at team facilities, sponsors pull out, TV contracts get paused, basically everything stopped. And with how incredibly bad things are between the players and Engelbert right now, a lockout is starting to look terrifyingly real. ESPN literally quoted a source saying, "Players don't feel they can negotiate with her. So what on earth happens next?" Well, some people are actually saying Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, might have to step in and fire Cathy Engelbert just to save the entire league. That's how monumentally bad this has gotten, because if Collier won't meet with her, then no other player will reign. If no player will, there is no CBA. And if there's no CBA, there is no 2026 season. It's that simple. Let's just call this what it is, a complete meltdown at the very top. And it's not like this came out of nowhere. Players have been profoundly unhappy for months. We've seen Sophie Cunningham rant about leadership, Alyssa Thomas get ejected for questioning refs, and we've even seen Elena Delle Donne retire without so much as a thank you from the league office. How does that even happen? There are only 24 players in the WNBA, and you can't even send an email to a Hall of Famer. Come on. The players see that, they absolutely notice how little effort leadership shows toward them, and then they're told to be great. That's exactly why they're so angry, and Napheesa Collier was the one who finally had the courage to say it all out loud. But now, because she said it, we might not even have a league at all next year. Think about how utterly insane that is. A league that was just starting to grow again might completely collapse because the commissioner couldn't handle criticism and decided to correct the record on live television. You truly cannot make this stuff up. And let's not ignore the timing either. This all happened right before the finals, the biggest stage of the season. Instead of talking about the Aces and the Mercury, every single headline was about Cathy Engelbert versus Napheesa Collier. That, my friends, is what you call a PR nightmare. And guess who ultimately gets blamed for it? The players. You just know the league office is gonna turn around and say, "This is why we can't increase salaries. Look at the bad press." It's always the same exhausting cycle. But the truth is, this is not a player problem. This is a leadership problem. The commissioner's job is to protect the league and its players. If you can't do both, you simply shouldn't have the job, and right now, Cathy Engelberg is failing spectacularly at both. Now let's get into what this all means long term, because this isn't just fleeting drama. This could genuinely decide whether the WNBA even has a 2026 season. Right now, both sides are locked in a silent standoff. The players are absolutely furious. The commissioner looks completely lost, and the owners are pretending everything's fine while secretly praying the NBA steps in to clean up this colossal mess. And guess who's caught right in the middle of all this? Caitlin Clark, because every decision, every argument, and every headline somehow circles back to her name. It's like she's the only player in the league that everyone, fans, owners, and players, can agree actually makes money. That's the whole underlying issue here. The WNBA finally found a breakout star who fills arenas, and instead of intelligently building around her, the league managed to turn her into a reason for chaos. Think about it. Cathy Engelberg should have been publicly thanking her, building campaigns around her, maybe even working out a TV deal centered on her matchups, but instead she went and made her the center of a political. Now Caitlin's name is being thrown around in every CBA conversation, and she hasn't uttered a single bad word about anyone. That's how incredibly messy this has become. And then there's Unrivaled, the off-season league founded by Napheesa Collier and Brianna Stewart. This might just end up being the WNBA's biggest headache, because if there's a lockout and the WNBA shuts down for a season, guess where all the top players are going? Straight to Unrivaled. It's already perfectly built to compete. They've got sponsors, gyms, and enough big names to run a solid product. So if the WNBA collapses, even for just a year, players won't be sitting at home. They'll be playing in a league owned by their own teammate. That's what makes this whole thing even more awkward, because from the outside, it kinda looks like Collier benefits either way. If the WNBA gets its act together, she wins as a player. If it crashes, her new league automatically becomes the alternative. You can call that smart business or a conflict of interest, but either way, Cathy Engelberg looks like she's completely losing control of the room. And let's be real, she is not built for this kind of chaos. She came from Deloitte, a corporate world where people say synergy and pipeline optimization. That's fine when you're balancing spreadsheets, but this is professional sport. You cannot talk your way out of public beef with players who have millions of fans watching their every move. At this point, it feels like the players don't want reform, they want replacement. They want Engelberg gone. Fans online are already calling for Adam Silver to fire her before the new year. And honestly, that might be the only way this whole situation gets fixed, because right now, every single problem, from ticket sales to officiating to player safety, all circles back to leadership. You simply cannot expect trust from players when your commissioner's first move after criticism is to go on stage and say, actually, they're wrong. So yeah, Napheesa canceling that meeting was absolutely huge. It wasn't just personal, it was a loud message. It said, we're done being polite, and honestly, who can blame her? The players have tried everything. They've held meetings, spoken publicly, and even risked fines. The league's response: denial and silent. The WNBA loves saying we're growing the game, but how are you growing anything when your own players feel utterly ignored? Let's be honest, the only reason the league hasn't completely fallen apart yet is because the players keep saving it. The same athletes they underpay are the ones keeping it alive. Caitlin Clark brings in the fans, Angel Reese brings in headlines, Aja Wilson brings in championships. Meanwhile, the people running the league, they just bring in bad press. If this keeps up, 2026 won't just be canceled, it might be the year the players take full control. And that's the part that should scare the WNBA office the most, because if the players figure out they don't need the league to survive, it's over. They'll take their fan bases, their sponsors, and their star power and build something new. And the sad part, the fans lose too, because for once, people were actually watching women's basketball again. The Caitlin Clark effect was real. The Fever were selling out arenas. Kids were buying jerseys. For the first time in years, it felt like genuine momentum was building, and now it's all slipping away because one executive couldn't handle being called out. If the league really cared about growth, they'd fire Engelbert tomorrow and start rebuilding relationships with players, because right now there's no coming back from this unless someone steps in fast. The CBA deadline is closing in. The union isn't talking, and the fans are watching the whole thing crumble in real time. So here we are, one canceled meeting away from a canceled season. Do you think Napheesa did the right thing by walking away, or should she have met with Kathy anyway? Drop your thoughts below. I want to hear what you think. And if you're new here, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more.